and Slamberg have sleeping in today.
For sure. They are not here. Oh, there's Amber.
Morning, Amber.
There's too many Ambers.
Oh, there's both.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm a little slow this morning with the mute.
How come?
Just, multitasking.
That's what I thought. All right, should we start?
We should start.
9:01. All right, tell me something good. Sold Monroe Street.
Yeah,
That's good.
Taylor and I sold our listing.
That's always good.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, it was a tough one. Even better.
Lucinda's got something good. I know it. Just feel it in
I
there.
feel like I'm repeating myself now.
You
but
are, but we weren't live.
I'm
that
very excited that over the next 3 weeks, I have 7 closings and lots of very happy buyers and sellers, which is just even better. So I'm very thankful.
fantastic. You're-
Story. Oh, I don't really want to talk about the story. I did lock myself out of the office on Sunday with all of my stuff inside because I came out to greet my clients that were coming to sign their contract. And anyway, thankfully I was able to call BJ on my
She was-
watch and
she was
he helped me
very
get back
discouraged
in.
When I told her that we do not give out the keypad code, I'm like, I'm sorry, that's
I
confidential.
have it somewhere, but I don't know it. And I have my fob always, but anyway, yeah, it was
See?
fun.
A good reason to have a smartwatch. What else is good? What's good out in Zoom land?
It's pretty good that it's 60 degrees in the middle of November. That has not been lost on me.
Yeah. I would agree.
I thought about opening my pool yesterday, but I didn't do it.
Be weird.
I could do a cold plunge. I didn't really think of that. It would have been perfect opportunity for it.
I would like to try that, but.
Well, can you imagine jumping up out of bed and going and doing that?
I had to think in my Amazon cart for 4.5 months. I just can't bring it on that.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to
Eric
practice,
just got one.
I'll just leave the gate open. You can go jump in my pool anytime you want.
It's a little swampy, I bet.
Just hear me screaming back there.
Max has been cold plunging. I don't know if he still is, and I don't know if he's there. His screen is blank, but he was cold plunging for a little while.
Did you do you don't have a calendar slide in here at all, do you?
Yes.
Yeah.
You do. I just saw the title on that one. I don't know if that was the beginning or the end. Hey, you're so good.
Okay, where are we? Okay, we're not having vendor potluck, right? Peoria, that got canceled.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't go to that. So that means, tomorrow is at 10 o'clock is our CTE class. I'll get a Zoom link out for that, today. If you are, it's just gonna be on Zoom. I mean, I'll be in the office if anybody wants to do it in here, but it would be better to be on Zoom and have your CTE up. So that's how I'm gonna do it, but it's totally up to you guys how you wanna do it. I'll get that Zoom link out. If you don't have the 2024 CTE file, you need to email Calvin or Dan and get that file, have them load that file for you. If you have any questions about who that is, or you don't know what I'm talking about, just shoot me a text or an email or Adam and we can help you do that, but.
Yeah, CTE stands for Commitment to Excellence, for what it's worth.
Oh,
Calvin
yes.
Mergen is the developer of this thing, but it's simply
A
it's
tracking.
a
tool.
spreadsheet, but yeah, it's your full dashboard for your business. So it'll go from everything from being able to list current buyers and sellers that you're working with.
It'll track your goals. So what we're gonna focus on tomorrow is getting CTE set up for 2024. Because what I found out is if you don't set it up correctly in the beginning of the year, it's really hard to adjust throughout the year because you basically have to redo the whole spreadsheet. And so what we're gonna focus on is getting your goals in there so that you can track. It's gonna tell you like how much you need in GCI every month. It takes into account seasonality. You can adjust seasonality. So we could look at last year's production and say, okay, you actually always have a really busy fourth quarter, so maybe we don't want to dip way down in fourth quarter. Maybe we want to project that we're gonna have the same fourth quarter as we do second quarter. It'll do all those things. And then, like BJ said, you can track your pipeline in there, buyers, sellers, lead source. So remember in Business Planning Clinic, we talked about how 80% of your business comes from 4 lead sources. CTE will track that for you. So every time you put in a transaction, you're going to say where that lead came from. And then it's just going to, there's a tab where you can just look at lead sources and it's going to tell you what percentage of your transactions came from what lead source. So you know where to focus. Yeah, can you pass down the box?
Oh, who wants it?
Dibble.
Is that so I've never actually seen CTE, I'll admit it. Is that built into my KW or is that a native thing that we download?
Nope, it's completely separate and the team has a CTE file. And
Yeah, I've
so-
seen that one.
And that will do everything that you need. I just need to show you how, like what it does.
Yeah,
and-
CTE lives outside of command.
Yeah.
There's some benefits to it. You can track a lot of this stuff in command. Calvin's just got this thing dialed in where it's way more granular. So if you really want detail on your business in terms of how many people did you meet with and being able to see the goals in real time, it actually gives you dials on the screen. It's a powerful tool.
And if you don't know how to use Excel, that's okay. Everything is a
Yep.
templated plug and play. You can email him if you're like, hey, I have this odd thing in my business and it doesn't really fit in the spreadsheet. They can modify it to fit whatever you need. So if it's not something that you use, I'll be honest, I went into the goal setting in command and it just doesn't feed right as of right now. I cannot track our goals inside of command. It just doesn't work right now. So I couldn't do what we need without CTE. So if that's something you're not tracking right now, this is probably not the year to jump in and try to do it in command. Command goals and opportunities are not communicating right. So your actuals will not show up the way that you want them to. So I would say CTE is your best option. This call will be recorded, but it's not going to be helpful unless everybody's CTE is a little bit different. So he's going to walk through how to set goals and then we're going to be able to ask questions. So if I'll send out the recording if anybody requests it, but it's not really going to be helpful to watch everybody else set theirs up. You really want to be on the call. And if you don't want to do this call and you'd rather do one-on-one, they'll always do a one-on-one call with you too.
That's 10 o'clock today.
That's 10 o'clock tomorrow, Wednesday, right after Capper call.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Does that account for like team splits and KW splits?
Yep, you'll
Okay.
put in your anniversary date, you'll track your company dollar, your royalty. It will track all of that.
Good. I just spent like 4 hours building my own version of this. That's not working right. So
You can throw in.
I
the
can
towel
burn
anytime.
it. Yeah, I'll
You
take
can
it out and burn
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
Tomorrow we've got Capper call at 9 o'clock. You'll get an email on that. And then Mira has a lunch and learn tomorrow. Do you know what the lunch and learn topic is?
No, that's last week.
Oh, goodness.
Morals and subject.
Tomorrow still is Capper call.
And CTE training
There
at
we
10.
go. We just talked about.
And then Ryan's doing masterminds at Pecan at 10 o'clock on Thursday. And then 11 to 1 in Bloomington is vendor potluck here. I don't know if we need to go over anything with vendor potluck, but I know.
We
this-
do.
Okay.
Jesse, I don't know if she's on the call, but she asked me to say, that she sent an email yesterday or last night, that there's some items that still need to be volunteered for. And so please choose what those items are and select them so we can get everything going. Because we're gonna have like 80 vendors and we're gonna make sure there's enough food for all.
Be
of them.
busy.
Yeah.
If you have any questions or whatever, reach out to Jesse or me. It's fine. This is us.
And probably, so it starts at 11, but we'll probably start setting up by 10. So if you have something that's in a crock pot or a warmer of some kind that can sit out, you can bring it in anytime the food goes along this hallway, unless she's changing it. It usually goes along this hallway on the back side of the office. So people come in the front door, line up by the bathrooms, and then they get their food and come in the team meeting room and eat. So I would say anytime 10 or after drop off food, or hopefully you'll stay. The only other thing I want to call out on this is on the 28th. BJ and I are doing 6 personal perspectives, so you have received an email about that, I think already. So please RSVP for that, just so we have an idea of who's coming. It'll be in the team meeting room from 9 to 12. Like we said last week, we haven't taught this in a few years, so I know there's a ton of agents that haven't been through this course, or if you want to call it a course. And it's super, super valuable. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. I know we talked about it last week, but I just want to make sure you guys have that on your calendars, the 28th from 9 to 12 here at the Market Center. All right, stats and celebrations. Oh, Lexi's not here yet, or maybe she's sitting at the front.
I think she's doing something at the front,
Oh,
but yes.
she's doing something at the front.
She's decorating the
Hopefully,
tree.
hopefully you've all met Lexi by now. Lexi is our new agent services coordinator. So she's been training most of the month, is I think picking up on everything day to day in the office. But if you are watching, hopefully your emails from the info@KW Revolutionaries email, that's all coming from Lexi. Anniversaries. Aaron Thomas has been with us for 6 years. Caitlin Endress, Trisha, Melissa, and Lori have been with us for 3 years. Oh my gosh, it's been 3 years already. That is crazy. Liz has been with us for 2 years and Brad for 1 year. So happy anniversary to all of our October anniversaries. You want to do this one?
Revolution Cares. So remember, we get an opportunity occasionally to help one of our own in need. And right now we have $9,500 in there. I honestly, I have to say congratulations on this, because maybe 2 or 3 months ago, we were down at like $5,000. We started talking about it again in an attempt to go, hey, there's very few things in this world that cost less than $10,000, right? So if we really want to be prepared, if somebody has a need, we just want some money set aside. The way that we're doing it primarily is through closed units. Last month, we had 138 closed units. 33 of them had donations attached to them. So there is a place on your opportunities page where you can automatically take $1, $5, $1,000, however much you want out of your GCI, and it'll go straight to Revolution Cares. So donors, thank you. You can see who you are in that list, and next month, maybe we'll have a few more.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I can put it on your agent bill. $500, $600.
Yeah, that was great.
Tom Krieger, $1,000. All right, we can do that.
So we closed 138 units last month, and 33 of those units had donations on them. So we, our total contribution as an office was $400. So. Okay, profit share.
Decided my commentary was relevant.
I decide that all the time.
Profit share is another one. Remember, as a Keller Williams company, up to 47.5% of the profits every month go back to the agents that help us grow the company. For October, that giant number was $1,303. Woo!
Woo! At this point, as you guys are probably all experiencing, we are tightening our belts a little bit and preparing for kind of a slow fourth quarter. So
Yeah, here's the thing about that, right? We can criticize, all of us. I certainly do say, hey, that's not enough, right? That needs to be 5,000. It's far from our goal. And it does need to be more. The reality is there's 2 ways to make that happen. The best way is to go out there and sell more houses. And you know what? We have done an amazing job. If you look at our trends report, we're going to get a chance to look at some of these in a minute. This office outperforms, Keller Williams Revolution outperforms this market significantly by 15% in most categories, right? So it's not that we're not selling our unfair share of houses. We are. We're working hard. We're doing these things. The next component is expenses. How do we start to control our expenses in a way? Because in a shifting market, if your revenue is going to go down and your expenses stay up, or worse, your expenses go up, what happens to your profit? Remember, in your individual businesses, this is true too. It's super, super hard when the market shifts to be able to adjust your expenses down as well. We're working on that as an office now. In fact, we've got some budget numbers coming up this afternoon. Your ALC is going to be reviewing some of that stuff in the very near future as well. So it will get better. That's what I know. And it's not zero. There were a lot of offices this month. I track all the offices every month and try to get a benchmark on where we stand. And I would say that 50% of the Keller Williams offices in our region were negative last month.
At some point, our goal is to maintain profitability and he makes a good point with expenses, you know, as you guys went through business planning. There's probably in a lot of things over the last few years as business was really good that we added on as new shiny toys, lead generation strategies, subscriptions, all those kinds of things. It's time to go evaluate those and see if we can cut out some of those things that maybe we had more room for the last few years and don't anymore.
For sure.
I think that 1.7 billion number is outdated. I think they're about to go over 2 billion.
Oh, yeah.
I think
I-
so.
we
It's
don't check it too
1.9
often.
something right
Yeah.
now. And I bet they make a big deal when it goes over 2 billion, but it's getting close. So that would be Keller Williams as a whole. Every market center added together has given back almost $2 billion in profit
deal.
share. It is a big deal.
I don't know what's next on anything.
Cappers.
Okay, let's go through cappers.
Our October cappers, Louis B, Judy, Aaron, and Taylor all capped in October.
Congratulations. That means
They are no longer contributing to profit share.
that is correct. That's why our profit share was so low.
This is worth explaining because when we went through ALC last week, there was a couple questions about this and I think it's worth understanding. So we had some questions about agents saying, well, I got this profit share and then I don't get it anymore. I got it for a couple months and now I don't get it. So Erin, I'll take Erin, for example, her sponsor, whoever brought her to Keller Williams, they will no longer get profit share until Erin resets and starts paying company dollar because she's capped. So she's no longer contributing to the profits of Keller Williams Revolution because all of that profit is staying in her own business as she's capped. So when she resets and she starts paying in company dollar, her sponsor will start receiving that profit share again. So if you have a high producer in your downline, it's likely that you get profit share for only a couple months from that person. Because as soon as they cap and they show up on these stats and celebration slides, it means that they don't have to pay in any more company dollars. So that profit share is going to go away until their next anniversary year. So
Megan, if I wanted to get profit share every month,
you need to have someone uncapped in your downline at all times. And so I've heard at one point in time that that's about 6 to 7 cappers. If you have 6 to 7 cappers in the first level of your downline, you're always going to be getting profit share. So I would say based on some of the downlines in our office, that's probably about true.
for sure.
So
And profit share follows the agent, right? So I had Courtney Monaco, for example. Any of you know her? She moved from the Revolution office to Downers Grove. I still get profit share. Now I get profit share from the Downers Grove office, right? So they do, as long as they stay with the company and produce, you will continue to get them across the country.
and so now he receives profit share for what Courtney contributes to the Downers Grove Market Center profit. It has nothing to do now with our profit. So we could have a slow month and they could have an awesome month. So although we might be slow, his profit share might look awesome. So that's also a good thing about profit share is you can kind of diversify where your
For sure.
downline is. And so
Isn't it always another good idea with people in your downline, is if they're staggered, like you bring somebody in January and then in March. And then April, well, somebody capped, they're not automatically capped for a year, correct?
right.
Correct.
Only, like, somebody caps on.
Krieger's talking about staggering them, right, in terms of how do you get agents to cap in different months? Yeah, that's true, but on the agent side, I would argue, just go find a bunch of cappers and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
So.
Because it's hard to say if you bring in a $2 million producer, it takes them about a year to cap. They cap in time to reset. If you bring in a $10 million producer, they're going to cap in 30 to 60 days. So it all kind of depends on what their production does and what month they come in on. And so that's kind of hard, but staggering them certainly doesn't hurt. If you have all of them in December, you're going to have awesome profit share for a few months, and then it's going to trickle out really fast.
And remember that they will also find people, right? So one of the benefits is that like Courtney has a dozen people in her downline. So this profit share goes 7 levels deep, don't forget. So just because Courtney capped doesn't mean all the agents underneath her have capped. So you still get parts and parts off of people down 7 layers deep. Anyway, that's a whole class in itself.
Right. All right. Top producers in volume for October. These are the agents and teams that closed over $1 million in the month of October. So Schneider Home Group closed almost 2.1 million. Jackie Spencer closed, oh, those should have been switched. Jackie closed 2.1 million. Trisha Yorty closed right at 2 million. Jewett Home Selling Team almost 1.3. Tucker Home Marketing 1.2. The Coulard Group 1.1. The Dice Team a little over $1 million, and Leak Listings a little over $1 million. So still have.
It's a big group.
We do. Shout out to Jackie. I think she had.
Lucinda's
I don't
gonna
know,
be on there
7
next month.
All right, unit producers. These are the agents and teams that closed 5 or more units in the month of October. So Tucker Home Marketing closed 14. Schneider Home Group closed 12. Trisha closed 8. Jewett Home Selling Team and Jackie Spencer each closed 7. The Dice Team closed 6, and Jackie Miller and Melissa Stevenson's team each closed 5. So this list shrunk up just a little bit. I think I had to remove 4 or 5 lines, but there's still a lot of agents and a lot of teams out there that are closing a lot of houses. So congratulations to our top producers. All right, these are our listing leaders. So our goal as a market center is 67 listings taken per month. In the month of October, we took 73 listings, which is great. Tucker Home Marketing took 9 of those. Jewett Home Selling Team took 7. Feast Homes took 5. Schneider Home Group took 4. The Coulard Group, Cornet Home Kerfoot, Leak Listings, BJ's team, Chrissy, Melissa Stevenson's team, and the Dice team all took 3. Congratulations to our listing leaders.
We're gonna talk about inventory a little bit here, but as you start looking at that, I start going, wow, is our inventory creeping up?
We are going to talk about that.
Good.
So I'm surprising BJ, and I ran stats a little bit differently. We haven't done this since April, so I wanted to look at this.
It's actually keep me on my game or
Yeah,
something. I don't know.
right. So I wanted to take 2021, 2022, and 2023 numbers and kind of compare. We've been looking at the LOR for the last 3 months, and we know the LOR is down significantly over last year.
LORE, by the way, LOR stands for Language of Real Estate. We believe that numbers are the language of real estate.
So when we look at the LOR, we look at closed units in volume, contracts written units in volume, listings taken units in volume. But what it doesn't factor in is what those numbers are doing to our inventory, to our days on market, to our median sale prices. So I wanted to look at what was going on in October 2021, 2022, and now in 2023 to kind of see if we've been out of COVID, I'm going to say, for a couple of years. And so the market's changed quite a bit. So we're going to go through a few different categories than what we usually look at in the LOR. So if we start with PAR, the first thing I looked at was median sale price. So remember, we use the median sale price instead of the average because the median takes the middle point. The average is going to be swayed by all the $10,000 listings and all the $2 million listings. So the median is a more accurate representation of what's going on with our price point. So I take this as of October for the past rolling 12 months. So October 2022 to 2023, the median sale price was 140,000. October 2021 to 2022 was 134.6, and October 2020 to 2021 was 125,000. So you can see a good appreciation in values in PAR. over the last 3 years. With that, you see, obviously, supply and demand drives prices up. We have gone from 1,078 listings on the market in October 2021. So this statistic takes on October 31st, 2021, how many homes were in active status on the market in PAR. And that number was 1,078. October of 2022 went down to 905, and October 2023 went down significantly to 679.
That's a pain point.
That's a pain point. At 600 and what's interesting is 1,000, almost 1,100 homes was only 1.7 months of inventory. 679 is 1.6. That was something I could not rationalize in my head. So if anybody wants to take a stab at that, this all came
Fewer
from
houses.
InfoSparks.
Fewer houses and yet months of inventory stays the same.
Yeah.
It's a demand question, right? So your inventory is going to stay the same if your demand falls. Is that, am I going the right way?
Yeah.
I need an econ major to help me out with this. Zoe, do you know one?
Go ahead.
But right, it is a function of where the demand stands. I need to map it out to be able to tell you exactly where that is, but that's the difference.
So you can see if we go to days on market, our median days on market, same reason we use the median here instead of the average. So the median days on market, if we took the average days on market, it goes up to like almost 30 because you've got new construction, you've got those outlier listings that are either priced wrong or the condition's bad or whatever. So it's the reason we look at the median of this as well. So median has not changed a whole lot because supply has gone down. You see median days on market has gone down a little bit, but still about a week, 10, 11 days on the market. So that is not starting to tick back up. What you do see, let's go next to new listings. New listings have gone down, honestly, not as drastically as I thought, given the way homes for sale declined. New listings was at 638 for the month of October in 2021, 570 in 2022, and 542 in 2023. So those numbers hadn't changed quite as much as I thought, but what has changed is the ratio of new listings to contracts written. So you look at new listings to contracts written in 2021, 608 contracts were written of the 638 homes that came on the market. So you could see that inventory, we were basically selling essentially everything that came on the market. We go into 2022, started to see a little bit of a gap. So we wrote 494 contracts last October of the 570 new listings that came on. So as you can see, it didn't change a whole lot of our months of inventory or our days on market, but there was a little bit of a gap there. Now you see it more. We're seeing where I would project we're going to start seeing longer days on market and more months of inventory if this continues. So of the 542 listings we brought on last month, we sold 423 of them. Still a very strong number. But you're starting to see where those, if you look at the trend lines, the trend line of new listings to contracts written in all of 2020 and 2021 were basically right on top of each other. You're starting to see those split. So that gap is what the shift is. The shift is in that gap.
So remember, this is by design. You have the Federal Reserve out there raising interest rates. You see our 30-year fixed rate now hovering around this 8% range. This is exactly what the Federal Reserve wants to do. They want to try to slow down that demand so that we can get a hold of prices and inflation and some other things. And these are the results. You can see it happening.
And I think we can all feel the market slowed down a lot more than even these numbers reflect. Keep in mind that the Federal Reserve kind of deals with this. All of these are lag indicators, lag measures. So, good job. So the challenge that the Federal Reserve has is that by the time they increase rates enough to see the change they want, we're going to deal with probably more of those effects for the next 3 to 6 months, because it's not like, hey, we change rates and immediately we see the effects of it in the market. It takes time.
Yep.
And they haven't seen the slowdown in the market that they wanted to. People continued to spend, they continued to buy, home prices continued to increase. So we're probably going to see interest rates go up before they come back down because we
Here's-
haven't seen enough in these numbers yet to tell the Federal Reserve that what they needed to happen has happened.
Headlines just this morning, if you haven't paid attention to them yet. The inflation rate they're talking about this morning is 3.2%, which is lower than the Fed was expecting. So there's now you're starting to get this commentary saying, hey, the Fed may be done. If we can hold this 3.2, this lag effect will continue to slow down the market over the next handful of months. And hopefully the Fed won't have to raise rates again. We're not talking about dropping yet, but hopefully they're done raising.
Any thoughts or questions on that in Peoria? Okay. All right, let's jump down to Mira. So Mira, these numbers are actually McLean County because InfoSparks doesn't, because of the way MRED is, you can't just run Mira. So this is McLean County, but that is basically Mira. So if you look at the median sale price, a little bit different than PAR, it has gone from 180,000 in 2021 to 205,000 in 2022 and 225 in 2023. So pretty significant increase in,
You start running those
Median sale
percentages,
price.
right? That's about a 9% increase from 22 to 23. When you start talking to people about should I buy a house, and you look at this and you say, if you didn't buy a house in 2022, you missed out on 9% on your money, right? So you would have increased. Say it better, right?
you're right, you would have seen a 9% appreciation in your equity
Interesting.
in the
Peoria's-
last 2 years.
Peoria's number is only 4%. I don't know why.
And nationally, we want to see about 3%. So you can see where exactly what the Federal Reserve is seeing is we don't want home values to jump up 9% per year. That's not sustainable.
This is why you see all these affordability conversations show up. Housing has never been more unaffordable than it is today.
That when you couple a 9% appreciation with an 8% interest rate, the
Incidentally,
buying power of our buyers is.
yeah,
down.
I heard an interesting stat the other day. This came from CNBC, but nationally, housing is 3.8 times the national income. Okay, so that means you have to spend 3.8 times your income in order to buy a house. And that's a historic record, right? That's the highest it's ever been. They're used to seeing numbers in the around 2.5 to 2.6% of 2.6 times your income. All right. So I ran Mira's or McLean County's just because I used the income data out of McLean County. McLean County's running about 2.6 right now. So we don't have that giant inflated number like they might see in California or in Florida or something like that. It just gives me this little bit of encouragement to say that, hey, maybe we're not quite as overvalued as the rest of the country.
I was just gonna say, hopefully that's an indicator that home values are going to stay where they're at and not decline because people are not stretching their mortgages out and going to be desperate to sell and
Right.
upside down. And so that's a very good thing. And keep in mind, in McLean County compared to Peoria, Tazewell, McLean County took a larger hit after the recession, or maybe was slower to come
Slower to
back
recover,
is the
yeah.
better way of saying it. Because State Farm had their mass exodus after, kind of on the tail end of the recession. So home values in McLean County were not appreciating at 3% per year since, I don't think they've done that consistently since the recession.
I would agree.
So we needed to see this increase in values in McLean County. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, when my buyers that bought, in these last few years call me and want to sell, am I going to be able to sell their house for what they bought it for? There's going to be some no's. Obviously, some people probably paid a lot more than maybe they should have, but
Like everything, it depends on the house.
right. But on an average, there's nothing indicating that home values are
Agreed.
going to go backwards in McLean County. So
Agreed.
We passed Tom. hang on, Tom.
I'll catch up on it. Oh, yep.
He's that good.
Interesting stat that I came across, for people that, especially first time home buyers, if they're thinking, well, we're gonna wait till the rate goes drop. In 1971, the interest rate for mortgage was 7.33. If you wait for the interest rates to go down, you wouldn't purchase a home until 1993. This is back in 1971. You would have rented for 22 years, waiting for the rates to go down. Meanwhile, the value of real estate quadrupled.
Wow. That's interesting, isn't it?
So, I just closed last week, got a personal home buyer, And she, you know, she said the same thing. She said, God, maybe I ought to wait till spring. I think the rates might go down. And I said, date the rate, marry the hat.
Yep.
And that's what she did. And actually, from the time she went in for her loan app until closing, the interest rate went down about 0.25%. So, but I thought that was an interesting statistic. Somebody who said, I want to wait till the interest rates go down.
It's like the best time to plant a tree conversation.
Right, exactly. Let's look at inventory. So homes for sale and months of inventory. In October of 2021, there were 189 homes on the market in McLean County. In October 2022, there were 202. In October, just last month, there were
22.
222. There's too many twos. So we've seen a small increase in inventory, but very little. It's interesting to look at the difference in inventory between the two markets. Peoria PAR is a larger geographic area. It is also just much more densely populated. And so inventory always runs more than double what McLean County has in PAR. But it's interesting to see how drastically inventory dropped in PAR and how it just slightly increased in McLean County.
Yeah, and we're still seeing some of these same months of inventory, right? When you start laying over that stat, you're at 1.6 in PAR and 1.4 in Mira. They're comparable.
Yeah.
You see this slowing demand though in that months of inventory again. 0.8 in 2021. Remember what was going on in McLean County as Rivian was on their just a binge of hiring. So that demand was really, really heavy, which brings down that months of inventory. And as we're starting to climb out of that, we're getting back up into these probably more normal-ish numbers in that 1.4 range.
Remember, 6 months of inventory is what we would call a balanced market. So not necessarily a buyer's market, not necessarily a seller's market. So even though we are starting to see inventory trend up, we are still under 2 months of inventory in both markets.
Yeah, 6 months sounds dreadful.
Yeah.
I mean, if we hit 6 months inventory right now, it would feel like we were just absolutely crawling.
But if you start looking at, hopefully you all kind of pay attention to the hot sheets when you log into MRED or Paragon. And you can see there's more price reductions there. You're seeing that shift in the market. So I don't know. My guess would be that we're going to see a shift to a buyer's market before that 6 months of inventory mark. So, you know, we may get to 3 months of inventory and we're going to be seeing price reductions.
We're already starting to feel some of that, right? You know today that your buyers have more power than they did 6 months ago. That's trending towards that buyer market.
I've heard a lot more mix of, we listed this, we got 3 offers in the first 24 hours. It was crazy. And also we threw this on the market, we priced it well, it looks great, and we're not getting hardly any showings.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're kind of in that shift. It's kind of what buyers are out there at the time it goes on the market, how long have they been looking, how desperate are they, how educated is their agent? You know,
That window
we're
of
seeing
about
both.
150 to 220 is still pretty hot, where there's multiple offers. and stuff.
Yeah.
But beyond that, yeah, I think it's.
Well, what's interesting is it's reflected in this days on market. We're 5 days on market overall 3 years.
It's interesting, if you look at the average in Mira and the average in PAR versus the median in Mira and the median in PAR, like I said, the median in PAR was about 20 to 30 days on the market. I'm sorry, the average was 20 to 30 days on the market. The median is 7 to 10 days. But in Mira, the average is much higher. It's somewhere in the 40 to 50 versus 5. And that's because of how heavy new construction became in Mira in the last couple of years. There's just not a ton of new construction on the market in PAR. And keep in mind, we're dealing with a bigger pond, a bigger pool of listings in PAR. So new construction really doesn't sway PAR the way that when you're looking at 680 listings versus 222 listings, there's a big difference there. So you throw 20 new constructions into 680 versus 20 new constructions into 220, it changes those numbers a lot. So new construction is still moving very, very slow in both markets, but there's a lot more new construction in Mira. So sorry about you.
But days on market stats an interesting one too. If you have listings today, If you have a listing that's been on the market for 5 or 7 days, what is that telling you about your listing? If you haven't had offers, I just recently went into a listing appointment. I pretty much said, hey, we're looking for an offer in 10 days. And if we're not looking, if we don't have an offer in 10 days, it probably tells me we're overpriced. I know that because the days on market average is about 5. And sure, that may be different at different price points. So do your homework there.
Different
And
price points, different neighborhoods.
yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if you've been on the market for weeks, for a month, for months long, there's something wrong, right? There are buyers in this marketplace and you need to go back to the fundamental conversations of seller motivation.
Absolutely. New listings. There were 207 new listings in October 2021, 170 in 22, and 181 last month. So new listings has kind of remained relatively the same. But you look at contracts written and we were selling almost listing for listing. We were selling everything that we brought on the market. We sold 206 out of 207 new listings in 2021, 165 out of 170 in 22. 156 out of 181 in 23. So you're not seeing quite the gap we're seeing in Peoria, but my guess is if we run these numbers again in November, again in December, and again in January, you're going to see those.
Check this out though, over 2 years, right? So again, we feel like this is slow, right? There's a lot of us that are just kind of in this anxious moment of, oh my gosh, right? What happened to my business? Why does it feel different? New listings are off 12% roughly over 2 years. So 12% fewer listings today than we were taking 2 years ago. That's significant. Now you look at contracts written, there's 25% fewer buyers out there than there were 2 years ago.
And keep in mind, as you compare Bloomington and Peoria, 2 years ago, we brought on 207 new listings into a pool of 189 listings altogether, compared to 638 new listings into 1,100. Like you also have to look at the comparison of what's already on the market to what we're bringing on. You know, right now we brought on 542 listings and there are 679. That's a pretty close number, but that gap is widening as well. And 181 new listings into 222. Those two numbers I think are what we'll really watch for the next quarter, is to see whether I would guess the pool of homes for sale is going to start ticking up a little bit more consistently. We've just kind of been, if you look at the chart of new listings, it just creeps up ever so slowly. I would guess we're going to see not a hockey stick by any means, but we're going to start to see a pretty big increase there.
Truly, the next 45 days are going to be super interesting. Historically, seasonally, we get some adjustment right now anyway. Thanksgiving is next week. And there's a lot of folks that would just go, hey, we're not going to sell during the holidays. I don't want to do anything. What's going to be super interesting, if you get some good economic news, we got some this morning, we continue getting good economic news, what happens in January? Either you're going to get a whole bunch of people going, hey, it's time to sell so that I can go buy, or you're going to get a people just jumping out and going, hey, I'm going to go buy because it feels good again. That's a very real possibility. Keep this in mind in terms of your sellers. You're starting to have conversations with your sellers about sellers going, oh, well, we're going to wait till first of the year. What's that mean? Does that mean January? Does that mean February?
Right. And you may have a lot more competition at that point. Right now, we're still showing that there's a lot of buyer demand in both markets. So especially if I did this very quickly, so I don't have any numbers to rattle off, but if you took Peoria itself and Bloomington Normal itself out of the equation in both markets, there's very little seasonality. There's so much demand in the smaller communities that if you look back over the last 2 years, the markets as a whole, you can still see our seasonality. In the smaller markets, you don't see it at all. If somebody wants to live in Mackinac, which I don't know why anybody wouldn't, they're going to buy the week of Thanksgiving. They're going to buy in the spring. They're going to buy in the fall. As soon as the house pops up that they're looking for, they're going to buy. So I think your conversation with your small town buyers and sellers is a lot different maybe than the conversation you're having with your Bloomington Normal and Peoria buyers. Same with like school districts. Peoria, Dunlap schools. If you look at if you run a report just for Dunlap schools, their days on market is some of the lowest in the association. I mean, you have to understand, those small differences because it
That's super interesting. I think there's a competition conversation in here somewhere too, is remember, there's a whole bunch of people that are waiting until first of the year. And so now the challenge is gonna be, how do we become the first one on the first of the year? I get that you don't wanna be live during Christmas. But if you were, or if you were live January 2nd, remember, there's a buyer sitting out there today that's just waiting. The statistics prove that, just waiting. And so if you wait to be the 5th house on the market versus being the first house on the market, who's gonna win? Who's likely gonna have the best sale price? So there is some urgency to this, I think, if you're a seller.
I think there's a potential we're gonna see a very early spring. Just especially if interest rates don't increase
And
anymore.
especially if we keep
People
the
have
60-degree weather.
Yeah, people, oh gosh, hopefully not. People kind of have settled into this 8%, 7%. I mean, we've kind of settled into the suck of it, right? And the more we have the conversation of what the trend of interest rates have done, the people still get married, they still get divorced, they still get new jobs, they still have babies, they still do all of those things. So there's still a lot more pent up in there. So any thoughts or questions on any of this?
I've noticed the shift.
Can you toss the box to Tom? Tom, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. I'm pretty sure it's Tom. I've noticed too, a lot of people saying the exact same thing. I think I'm gonna wait. And then eventually they see it just keep climbing. And now I think their mindset is completely shifted to now where they're like, holy hell, I better buy now because it's just gonna keep going up. I think the rise is
That's
almost helped. I mean,
That's part of that lag effect, right? I mean, people kind of get locked into the way that they thought yesterday, and right, and it just takes a minute to make those mind shifts.
Yeah, I think that's what those bottom two right numbers were representing is all the sellers that the prices in their head were from last year, and they're just now starting to come back down to earth.
Any other thoughts, questions?
It's good.
The only other thing, I had a couple people ask last week and I honestly haven't looked since the weekend, so I don't know if there's anything to report, but there was another commission lawsuit in just the state of Illinois. I don't know a whole lot about it. I've had a couple people text and ask. I haven't seen anything other than what's on Inman. I don't know if you have.
No.
But there is a new lawsuit that just happened. And it is now on the buyer's side. So it's just in the state of Illinois. It does not have class action status. It was just filed, but now it is buyers claiming that agents market themselves as free to buyers. You don't have to pay a commission. The commission's paid by the seller. My services are free to you. It's not free. It's built into the price of the house, obviously. So there's going to be more on that.
Yeah,
But
these are
we cannot market our services as free to buyers. That word is.
good point. They're calling these a copycat lawsuits, right? So you're gonna see a ton of them, is my guess.
And just say you don't have to directly pay me anything.
This is where our buyer rep forms come in, and we just have to explain where commission comes from.
Yeah,
Same
yeah,
conversation
the
we've been having.
challenge on this is more transparency.
Mhm.
Right, so if you're embarrassed by how much you make and you're not willing to tell your buyer that you're gonna get X% on any given transaction, you may have a problem. You need to be willing, when they ask you how you get paid, I think you need to be willing to step up and go, hey, this seller is offering me 3% to sell this house. This seller's offering me 4%, whatever the co-op is on the listing. You can share it.
You see it on the settlement sheet.
Mhm.
They know how much we make. So Yeah.
Transparency is the key.
just wanted to hit on that I've seen what you guys have seen, so we haven't heard any different, but if we do, we will let you know.
I've been
All
doing that for years, but I always throw in like, I need to pay my team, I need to pay Keller Williams, I need to pay taxes, just so they understand
For sure.
I'm not getting rich off of it. Like I get a third, so it's.
I've seen a couple Facebook posts floating around from agents about commissions and all this. Be very careful what you put on social media. That lives there forever. I have no problem if you guys want to post anything. Just be very, very mindful. There's been a couple of them out there that have made me like, probably
And-
wouldn't say that.
And remember that you can post something and take it down, but somebody in there
Screenshotted
screenshotted it. I promise you, because I get pictures of screenshots all the day. Can you believe this?
Probably
So-
another agent.
Be
Sadly enough.
mindful, yeah.
There's
And a
always
lot,
another agent.
a couple of the
Yes.
posts floating around are like, copy and paste this. Don't just copy and paste somebody's post. So, all right, wants and needs?
I have a bunch of needs. I've got two buyers looking in the 450 range, main floor master for both Bloomington normal, 3-bed, 2-bath. Got 2 or 3 buyers in the 190s, Bloomington normal, not too picky. I got one in the 250 range, 3-bed, 2-bath, and one in the 325 range, 3-bed, 2-bath, all Bloomington normal.
Awesome.
That's
Anybody
it?
else?
Everyone's getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Right. All right. Well, have a good week, everybody. Thank you.